Hello students, today I bring for you a new chapter and that is evolution, class 12th biology. In this chapter, we are going to cover all the important topics including origin of life, evolution of life forms, a theory, what are the evidences for evolution, what is adaptive radiation, biological evolution, mechanism of evolution, Hardy-Weinberg principle, a brief account of evolution, origin and evolution of man. So we will cover NCERT as well as this PDF. So let's start this chapter. First of all, evolution. Evolution is an orderly change from one form to another. As you can see in this diagram, evolutionary biology is the study of history of life forms on the earth. Origin of life. Coming to origin of life, the Big Bang theory. It states that the universe originated about 20 billion years ago by a singular huge explosion. The earth was formed about 4.5 billion years ago. There was no atmosphere on early earth, water vapor, then methane, CO2 and NH3 released from motion mass covered the surface. The UV ray from the sun broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen combined with ammonia and methane to form water and carbon dioxide, etc. Then the ozone layer is formed. As it cooled, the water vapor fell as rain to form oceans. Life appeared almost 4 billion years ago. Coming to theory of origin of life. Theory of abiogenesis, theory of biogenesis, theory of panspermia, theory of creationism and theory of chemical evolution. Before starting this theory, let's see what your NCERT says from the beginning here. Origin of life, as you can see. First of all, important point, stellar distances are measured in light years. Stellar means very far distances are measured in light year. Then coming to other, the universe is very old, almost 20 billion years ago. Huge cluster of galaxies comprise the universe. Galaxies contain stars and clouds of gas and dust. Considering the size of the universe, Earth is indeed a speck. The Big Bang theory attempted to explain to us the origin of universe. It talks of a singular huge explosion, unimaginable in physical terms. The universe expanded and hence the temperature came down. Hydrogen and helium formed sometime later. The gases condensed under gravitation and formed the galaxies of the present day universe. In the solar system of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. So the Milky Way, remember, there was no atmosphere on early Earth. Water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide and ammonia released from motion mass covered in the surface. The UV rays from the sun broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen and the lighter hydrogen escaped. Oxygen combined with ammonia and methane to form water, carbon dioxide and other. The ozone layer was formed and as it cooled, the water vapor fell as rain to fill all the depressions and forms oceans. Life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth, that is almost 4 billion years back. Next, coming to scientists, what they suggested. Coming to this PDF, because here you can see all the topic, theory of abiogenesis, biogenesis, panspermia, creationism and chemical evolution. All are separated, but in NCERT they are all mixed up. So let's start. Theory of spontaneous generation or abiogenesis. It states that life came out of decaying and rotting matter like straw and mud, etc. Initially, many people think that this type of earthworm and this type of insects, they directly came from decaying or rotting matter. So they think that life came out of decaying and rotting matters like straw and mud, etc. Then Louis Pasteur This proved abiogenesis theory. He demonstrated that life comes only from pre-existing life. He showed that life did not come from killed yeast in a closed crystallized flask, but in an open flask, life microbes appear. As you can see, Louis Pasteur did some experiments. He boiled some yeast and waited. There is no growth. Again, he boiled. Then he break the stem. As you can see, break stem and microbial growth. So he suggested this. Then theory of biogenesis. It is proposed by Francisco Redi, Spallanzani and Louis Pasteur. It states that life originates from the pre-existing life, but it does not explain origin of first life. Then cosmic theory, theory of panspermia. Even till now, many scientists believe this theory, theory of panspermia. It states that the unit of life or spores were transferred to different planets including Earth. Means all the life form, all the biotic components like units of life like spores, they comes from space to Earth and other planets. Theory of spatial creation. It states that living and non-living was created by some supernatural power, God. Many of us believe in God who made all our universe. This is theory of spatial creation. Then theory of chemical evolution, proposed by Oparin and Halden. It states that the first form of life was originated from non-living inorganic and organic molecules such as CH4, NH3, H2O, sugars, proteins, nucleic acids, etc. That is, abiogenesis first, but biogenesis ever since. Then Urey-Miller experiment. Harold Urey and Stanley Miller experimentally proved theory of chemical evolution. They created a condition like that of primitive Earth, that is high temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere with CH4, NH3, H2O and H2, etc. Then they made electric discharge in a closed flask containing CH4, NH3, H2 and water vapor at 800 degrees Celsius. This one. Then as a result, some amino acids are formed. So this is the setup. You can see, or we are going to the previous diagram where here you can see they mixed water vapor is coming like this, and here the electric spark is given to CH4, NH3 and H2O. Then a condenser is given where cold water goes in and water comes out, which make the liquid condensing, and then cooled water containing organic compounds, and then the sample. In this sample they found amino acids like this, and other similar experiments, other observed formation of sugar, nitrogen bases, pigment and fats. Next, the first non-cellular form of life originated 3 billion years ago. Non-cellular form of life. They were self-replicating metabolic capsules containing macromolecules like RNA, proteins, polysaccharides, etc. So this is the theory of origin of life. Then coming to evidences for evolution. Before starting this, let's see what your NCERT says. Here you can see some scientists believe that it came from outside, means the life came from outside. Early Greek thinkers thought unit of life called spores were transferred to different planets including Earth, and the given term panspermia. It is still a favorite idea for some astronomers. For a long time it was also believed that life came out of decaying and rotting matter like straw and mud, etc. This was the theory of spontaneous generation. Louis Pasteur, by careful experimentation, demonstrated that life comes only from pre-existing life. He showed that in a pre-sterilized flask, life did not come from killed yeast, while in another flask open to air, new living organisms arose from the killed yeast. Then spontaneous generation theory was dismissed once and for all. However, they did not answer how the first life came on the earth. Then Oparin of Russia and Halden of England proposed that the first form of life could have come from pre-existing non-living organic molecules, example RNA, proteins, etc. And that formation of life was preceded by chemical evolution, like formation of diverse organic molecules from inorganic constituents. The condition of earth were high temperature. Initially, high temperature, volcanic storms, eruptions occur, reducing atmosphere containing CH4, NH3, etc. In 1953, S.L. Miller, an American scientist, created similar condition in a laboratory scale. He created electric discharge in a closed flask containing all these chemicals CH4, H2, NH3 and water vapor at 800 degrees Celsius. He observed that formation of amino acids. In some similar experiments, others observed formation of sugar, nitrogenous bases, pigments and fats. Analysis of meteoroid content also revealed similar compounds, indicating that similar processes are occurring elsewhere in space. With this limited evidences, the first part of the conjecture story, that is chemical evolution, was more or less accepted. Chemical evolution. We have no idea about how the first self-replicating metabolic capsule of life arose, because the first non-cellular form of life could have originated 3 billion years back. There would have been giant molecules, RNA, proteins, polysaccharides, etc. These capsules reproduced their molecules. Perhaps the first cellular form of life did not possibly originate till about 2000 million years ago. These are probably single cells. All life forms were in water environment only. This version of a biogenesis, that the first form of life arose slowly through evolutionary forces from non-living molecules, is accepted by majority. However, once formed, how the first cellular form of life could have evolved into the complex biodiversity of today is the fascinating story that will be discussed below. Evolution of life, a theory. Let's see in the PDF what it says. First of all, paleontological evidences, morphological and anatomical evidences, biogeographical evidences, that is adaptive radiation, biochemical evidences, embryological evidences and evidences for evolution by natural selection. First of all, paleontological evidences. Paleontology is the study of fossils. Fossils are remnant of life forms found in the rock or earth crust. Fossils are written documents of evolution. Then, significance of fossils to study phylogeny, evolutionary history or race history, example horse evolution. Here you can see 60 million years ago, horses are called Oeopus and height is only 0.4 meter. Then 40 million years ago, Mesohippus, height 0.6. Then 30 million years ago, Merychippus, height 1 meter. Then 10 million years ago, Pleohippus, and then 1 million years ago, modern horses. Like this, coming to elephants, here African, savanna elephant, Asian elephant and woolly mammoth. Then here to study the connecting link between the two group of organisms, example Archaeopteryx. Here it is the evidences as you can see, and here the reptiles, and Archaeopteryx is the connecting link between reptiles and birds as you can see. Here toothed beak, reptilian character, wing claw, reptilian character, airfoil wing with counter feather, avian character, bird's character, long tail with many vertebrae, reptilian character. So this is the connecting link. Archaeopteryx is the connecting link between reptiles and birds. Then here to study about extinct animal, example dinosaurs. Then here you can see to study about geological period by analyzing fossils in sedimentary rock layers. The study shows that life forms varied over time and certain life forms are restricted to certain geological time span. Here you can see Earth for 4.6 billion years ago. First of all, Archeans came, then Proterozoic, then Paleozoic era started. It is divided into like this, you can see. Then Mesozoic era started, and then Cenozoic era started, and finally us. Here, morphological and anatomical evidences. Comparative anatomy and morphology shows that different forms of animals have common structural features. This can be explained follow. Homologous organ and homology, analogous organ and analogy. First of all, homologous organ. These organs have fundamental similarity in structure and origin but different function. This phenomenon is called homology. Remember, the organs which having fundamental similarities in structurally similar but different function, this is called homology. Example, human hand. Here you can see human hand, then whale's flipper like this, bat's wing and cheetah's foot. All are, we can say, all have similar anatomical structure such as bones, but they have different functions. Homology is also seen in heart, brains, etc. As you can see, heart having, fish having one chambered heart, amphibians, three chambered heart, reptiles, birds, mammals, and brain of vertebrae like fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. They show similarities in structure, but their functions are different. Then, homology in plants like thorns and tendrils of Bougainvillea and Cucurbita. Bougainvillea and Cucurbita, thorns and tendrils, they are also homologous organs. Then, origin of homologous organ is due to divergent evolution. So, why they all have same origin of the structure but function different? Because of divergent evolution. What is divergent evolution? Now, divergent evolution is the evolution by which related species becomes less similar to survive and adapt in different environmental conditions. For example, here you can see common ancestor. And who is the common ancestor? No one knows. Let's mark it X. Genetic variations came to this one and it becomes cat. Then again some variations came and it becomes cheetah. Again some variations came, it becomes lion. Again some variations came, it becomes panther. Homology indicates common ancestry. Then analogous organs. The organs having similar function but different structure and origin, this phenomenon is called analogy. Example, wings of insects formed of thin flap of chitin and wings of bird modified forelimbs. Like you can see, bird's wing, insect wing, both are, we can say, different but function same. Okay. Organs having similar function but different structure and origin. Then other example, eyes of octopus, retina from skin, and mammals, retina from embryonic brain. Here you can see it is an octopus and it is a human eye. See the similarities. Remember. Then other example, flippers of penguins and dolphins. Flippers of penguins and dolphins. These are flippers, as you can see. Then other example, sweet potato, modified root, and potato, modified stem. These are also analogous organs. Then trachea of insect from ectoderm and lungs of vertebrae from endoderm. Origin different but function same. Then third is biochemical evidences. Biochemical evidences. Organisms show similarities in protein, genes and other biomolecules and metabolism. It indicates common ancestry like the DNA, transcription, RNA and then translation becomes protein. It occurs in all the living organisms. Then biogeographical evidences, that is adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation is the evolution by adaptation, is the evolution of different species in a geographical area starting from a point. Example, Darwin's finches in Galapagos Island. Here. And second is Australian marsupials, marsupial radiation. Okay. See, and third is the placental mammals in Australia, like you can see in this diagram. Here, when more than one adaptive radiation is appeared in an isolated geographical area, it results in the convergent evolution. When more than one adaptive radiation is appeared in an isolated geographical area, it results in the convergent evolution. Example, Australian marsupials and placental mammals. You can see placental mammals and Australian marsupials. Mole, marsupial mole, as you can see. Anteater, numbat, mouse, marsupial mouse. Lemur, spotted, cuscus, flying squirrel, flying phalanger, bobcat, Tasmanian tiger cat, wolf, Tasmanian wolf. Fifth is embryological evidences proposed by Ernest Haeckel. He observed that all vertebrate embryos have some common features that are absent in adults. Example, all vertebrate embryos including human develop vestigial gill slits just behind the head, but it is functional only in feces and not found in the other adult vertebrate. As you can see, here is the embryo. It is the embryo of fish, reptiles, birds and humans, where we all have the vestigial gill slits present and we all share the tail during the embryonical stages. But in human being, we do not need that gill slit, so it is disappeared. And in some people, you can find out this type of hole in their ear. Then, however, Carl Ernst von Baer rejected this proposal. He noted that embryos never pass through the adult stage of the other animals. Then sixth one is the natural selection. It is the process by which the organisms that are best suited for their environment survive and reproduce. Obviously, nature selected them, where the organisms that are best suited for their environment, they survive and reproduce. Some examples are industrial melanism, development of resistance variety in organisms against herbicides, pesticides, antibodies or drugs. They are the examples of for natural selection by anthropogenic action. Anthropogenic action means evolution due to human activities. Here, first of all, the first one, industrial melanism. What it is? Now here you can see in England before industrialization, means before 1850s, there were more white-winged moths. There were more white-winged moths like this. Their scientific name Biston betullaria on trees, then dark-winged or melanized moth Biston carbonaria. After industrialization on 1920s, more dark-winged moth and less white-winged moth are spotted. And why this occur? Because here it is given reason. Because before industrialization, there was thick growth of white colored lichens. We all know lichens like this. Symbiotic association of algae and fungi called lichens covered on the tree. And as we all know, lichens are best pollution indicators. They only grow in less polluted area. And it is said before industrialization, lichens are covered on the tree. And obviously lichens are white in color, as you can see. So in that background, the white-winged moth survived. They becomes camouflage them and they survived. White-winged moths, these are. But the dark-colored moths were picked out by the predator because the dark-colored moths, they can easily spotted by the birds, predators. Then, after industrialization, the tree trunks becomes dark due to industry smoke and soot, and though it is become polluted, so lichens were gone, no lichens are there, and the big color of the tree becomes dark. And under this condition, white-winged moths did not survive because the predators identify them easily. Dark-winged moths survived because of the suitable dark background, that is, predators could not identify them. Theory of biological evolution. So, let's see what your NCERT says here. First of all, conventional religious literature tells us about the theory of special creations. This theory has three connotations. One, that all living organisms that we see today were created as such. Two, that the diversity was always the same since creation and will be the same in future also. And third, the earth is about 400 years ago. The earth is about 4000 years old. All these ideas were strongly challenged during the 19th century. Based on observations made during a sea voyage in a sail ship called HMS Beagle round the world, Charles Darwin concluded that existing living forms share similarities to varying degrees not only among themselves but also with the life forms that existed millions of years ago. Many such life forms do not exist anymore. There had been extinction of different life forms in the history gone by, just as new forms of life arose at different period of history on the earth. There has been gradual evolution of life forms, and those characteristics which enable some to survive better in natural conditions, climate, food, physical factor, etc., would outbreed others that are less endowed to survive under such natural conditions. Another word uses fitness of the individual or population. The fitness, according to Darwin, refers ultimately and only to reproductive fitness. Hence, those who are better in fit an environment leave more progeny than other. Simple. Better fit in an environment leave more progeny than the other. These therefore will survive more and hence are selected by nature. He called it the natural selection. And coming to Alfred Wallace, naturalist who worked in Malay archipelago, had also come to similar conclusion around the same time. In due course of time, apparently new type of organisms are recognizable. All the existing life forms share similarities and share common ancestors. However, the ancestors were present at different period in the history of Earth, that is epochs, periods and era. There are three periods of Earth. Remember, epoch, periods and eras. The geological history of Earth closely correlates to the biological history of the Earth. Then, what are the evidences for evolution? Before starting this, what is the topic of in the theory of biological evolution? Okay, so let's see. First of all, fossils. Fossils are remains of hard part of life forms found in rock. Rocks form sediments, and a cross section of earth crust indicates the arrangement of sediments one over the other during the long history of the earth. And then you can see new forms of life have arisen at different times in the history of the earth. All this is called paleontological evidences. New forms of life have arisen at different times in the history of earth, and all this is called paleontological evidences. And the question is, do you remember how the ages of the fossils are calculated? Do you recollect the method of radioactive dating and principles behind the procedure? So here is the answer. Ages of fossils can be calculated by the following method. First of all, relative positions of the fossils in the sedimentary rocks. The bottom layer of the rock are usually oldest, obviously, and thus by finding a fossil, the approximate age can be determined. And second is radioactive carbon dating. Radioactive carbon C14 is formed when the cosmic ray of the sun acts on nitrogen in the atmosphere. Apart from C12, C14 is taken in by living form through the food chain. Once the organism dies, it does not take any more carbon from the atmosphere. The radioactive carbon then decay at a known rate. The half-life time required to reduce it to half its initial level C14 is 5730 years. And measure the concentration of radioactive carbon in the fossil, comparing the concentration of C14 with the radioactive activity of C14 in the living matter. If the radioactive content is 50%, then the content in the living matter, then the approximate life of the fossils will be 5730 years, that is half-life. So this is how we collect or we find out the fossils that are found out their ages. Next, embryological support for evolution proposed by Ernest Haeckel based on the observation of certain features during embryonic stages common to all vertebrates that are absent in adult. For example, the embryo of all vertebrates including human develop a row of vestigial gill slits just behind the head, but it is only functional by the aquatic organisms, that is fish, not found in any other adult vertebrates. However, this proposal was disapproved on careful study performed by Carl Ernst von Baer. Then, here you can see example: whale, bat, cheetah and human share similarities in the pattern of bones of four limbs. Though these four limbs perform different functions in these animals, they have similar anatomical structure. All of them have humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges in their forelimbs. Hence, in these animals, the same structure developed along different directions due to adaptations to different needs. This is called divergent evolution, and these structures are homologous. Homology indicates the common ancestry. Other example: vertebrate heart or brains. In plant also the throne and tendrils of the bougainvillea and cucurbita represent the homology. Homology is based on divergent evolution, whereas analogy refers to the situation exactly opposite. Wings of butterfly and birds looks alike. They do not anatomically similar structure, though they perform similar function, that is, help in flying. Hence, analogous structures are a result of convergent evolution. Different structures evolving for the same function and hence having similarities. Other examples of analogy are the eye of the octopus and mammals. We already seen in the diagram, and or the flippers of penguins or dolphins. One can say that it is similar habitat that has resulted in selection of similar adaptive features in different group of organisms, but towards the same function. Sweet potato root modification and potato stem modification is another example of analogy. Then coming to similarities in proteins and genes performing a given function among diverse organisms gives clue to common ancestry. These biochemical similarities point to the same shared ancestry and structural similarities among diverse organisms. Then another interesting observation supported evolution by natural selection comes from England. In a collection of moths made in 1850s, that is before industrialization set in, it was observed that there were more white-winged moths on tree than dark-winged or melanized moths. However, same collection carried out of the same area but after industrialization, that is 1920, there are more dark-winged moths in the same area, that is the proportions are reversed. Here, to explain this, predators will spot a moth against a contrasting background. During post-industrial period, the tree trunk becomes dark due to industrial smoke and snoots. Under this condition, the white-winged moth did not survive due to predators. Dark-winged or melanized moths survived. Before industrialization, set in thick growth of almost white colored lichens cover the tree in the background. The white winged moths survived, but the dark colored moths were picked out by the predator. And we can say lichens can be used as industrial pollution indicators. They are not grow in the polluted area. Then adaptive radiation. During his journey, Darwin went to Galapagos Island. There he observed an amazing diversity of creatures. Of a particular interest, small black birds, later called Darwin finches, amazed him. He realized that there are many varieties of finches in the same island. All these varieties has conjectured evolved on the island itself. From the original seed-eating features, many other forms which altered beak arrows, enabling them to become insectivorous and vegetarian finches. This process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and literally radiating to other area of geography, is called adaptive radiation. Same as another example, Australian marsupials. A number of marsupials, each different from other, evolved from the ancestral stock but all within the Australian island continent. As you all know, Australia is an island. So, no particular animal can leave Australia to other places. So, they grow particularly. The varieties of the marsupials, they all are found in the Australia only. When more than one adaptive radiation appear to have occurred in an isolated geographical area, one can call this convergent evolution. Placental mammals in Australia also exhibit adaptive radiations in evolving into varieties of such placental mammals, each of the which appear to be similar to the corresponding marsupial. Like you can see, marsupial radiation, Tasmanian wolf, tiger cat, banded anteater, marsupial rat, kangaroo, wombat, bandicoot, koala, marsupial mole, sugar glider. And here also you can see placental mammal and Australian marsupial, mole, marsupial mole, anteater, numbat, mouse, marsupial mouse, lemur and spotted cuscus, flying squirrel, flying phalanger, bobcat, Tasmanian tiger cat, wolf and Tasmanian wolf. The essence of Darwin's theory about evolution is natural selection. The rate of appearance of new form is linked to life cycle or the lifespan. Microbes that divide fast have the ability to multiply and becomes millions of individuals within an hour. A colony of bacteria, say A, here is the example. A colony of bacteria, say A, growing on a given medium has built-in variations in terms of ability to utilize a feed component. A change in the medium composition would bring out only that part of the population, say B, that can survive under the new conditions. In due course of time, this variant population outgrew the other and appeared as new species. This would happen within days. For the same thing to happen in a fish or fowl would take millions of years, as lifespan of these animals are in years. Here we say that the fitness of B is better than the A under the new condition. Nature selects for fitness. One must remember that so-called fitness is based on characteristics which are inherited. Hence, there must be a genetic basis for getting selected or to evolve. Another way of saying the same thing is that some organisms are better adaptive to survive in an otherwise hostile environment. Adaptive ability is inherited. Remember, it's inherited. It is genetic basis. Fitness is the end result of the ability to adapt and get selected by the nature. Then, two key concepts of the Darwinian theory of evolution, that is branching descendant and natural selection. Natural selection, we all know that nature selected the particular fitness who can survive in the changing environment. And branching descendant, what is it? Here, branching descendant refers to the process of evolving a new species for a single common ancestor. As new species emerged, they become regionally adapted to their new surroundings. Darwin's finches are an excellent example of how competitive rivalry can lead to the progression via evolutionary changes. Then, even before Darwin, a French naturalist, Lamarck, had said that evolution of life forms had occurred but driven by disuse of organs. Before Darwin, Lamarck said evolution of life forms had occurred but driven by use and disuse of organs. He gave an example of the giraffe, who in attempt to forage leaves on tall tree had to adapt by elongation of their neck. As they passed on this acquired character of elongated neck to succeeding generations, giraffes slowly over the year came to acquire long necks. Nobody believes this conjecture nature anymore. Then you can see another scientist came, Thomas Malthus, on population influenced Darwin. Natural selection is based on certain observations which are factual. For example, natural sources are limited, population are stable in size except for seasonal fluctuation. Members of a population vary in characteristics. Even though they look superficially similar, most of the variations are inherited. The fact that theoretically population size will grow exponentially if everybody reproduces maximally, and the fact that population size in reality are limited means that there had been competition for resources. Mechanism of evolution. Before starting this, let's see the PDF what it says. Theories of biological evolution. Here, theory of Lamarckism or theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Second, Darwinian theory, Darwinism or theory of natural selection, mutation theory by De Vries. First of all, Lamarckism. It is proposed by Lamarck. It states that evolution of a life forms occurred by the inheritance of acquired character. He also given an example like acquired characters are developed by use and disuse of organs. Evolution by use of organ. Example, long neck of giraffe is due to continuous elongation to forage leaves on tree. This acquired character was inherited to the succeeding generations. And evolution by disuse. Example, disappearance of limbs in the snakes. Then this theory was eliminated out because it is proved that the characters are inherited only through the genes, not the acquired character. Then Darwinian theory of natural selection proposed by Charles Darwin. It is based on observations during a sea voyage in a sail ship called HMS Beagle. The ship name is HMS Beagle. Alfred Wallace, a naturalist, worked in Malay archipelago had also comes to similar conclusion. Work of Thomas Malthus on population influenced Darwin. Branching descendant. It explains that all organisms are modified descendant of previous life forms. Like you can see, one single common ancestor, and what is it? No one knows. And from here, all these things are grown. All are grown in different area, different habitat. Next, natural selection. Here, consider a bacterial colony A. Example, we already seen in the NCERT. It is a colony A. Here there are two resistance bacteria like this. Then growing on a given medium. If the medium composition is changed, only a part of this population can survive under new condition. Here the medium changed, that is addition of antibiotic, so only some are survive and other will be dead. The resistance bacteria outgrow like this, and then you can see the colony B is formed, which is the variant population, outgrow the other and appear as a new species. That is, B is better than the A under new conditions. Thus, nature selected for the fitness. Natural selection is based on the following fact. First of all, heritable minor variations, overproduction, limited natural resources, struggle for existence, and survival of the fittest. Here, heritable minor variations. it is either beneficial or harmful to the organism. Second, overproduction. Population size grow exponentially due to maximum reproduction. Example, bacterial population. Third is limited natural resources. Resources are not increased in accordance with the population size. Fourth, struggle for existence. It is a competition among organisms for resources so that population size is limited. Struggle for existence. And fifth one, most important one, survival of the fittest. In struggle for existence, organisms with beneficial variations can utilize the resources better. Hence, they survive and reproduce. This is called survival of the fittest. It leads to a change in population characteristics and new forms appear. Darwin ignored but about origin of variation and mechanism of evolution or speciation. Then, mechanism of evolution. Hugo de Vries proposed the mutation theory of evolution. He conducted some experiments on evening primals, that is Onethra lamarckiana, and believed that the evolution takes place through mutation and not by minor variation. Darwinian variation is minor, slow and directional. It results in gradual evolution. But mutational variation is sudden, random and directionless. Hence, speciation is by saltation. Saltation means single step large mutation. Mutation is the origin of variation for evolution. You can see in this diagram, two diagrams are given here. Gradual model where slowly changes, and this is the form, changement form, and here it is the mutational changes, or we can say mutational variation, which is sudden, and you can see direct single step large variation, large mutation source, or saltation we can say. Then Hardy-Weinberg principle. Before starting this, let's see the NCERT what it says here. Same in the first decade of the 20th century, Hugo de Vries, based on his work on evening primals, brought forth idea of mutation, large differences arising suddenly in a population. And coming to saltation, saltation is the single step large mutation. Then Hardy-Weinberg principle. What it says, let's see in this PDF, then in the NCERT. First of all, it says that allele frequencies in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation in the absence of disturbing factor. The gene pool, which is the total genes and their alleles in a population, remain a constant. This is called genetic equilibrium or Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Sum of the total of all the allele frequencies equal to 1. Here, population of 20 beetle. Each beetle is a gene pool. Their totality is the gene pool of the population. Allele frequency refers to how frequently a particular allele appears in a population. Example, consider in a diploid, P and Q are the frequencies of alleles A, capital A and small a respectively. P and Q are alleles. Okay, you have to consider frequency of capital A is P square, frequency of small a is equal to Q square, frequency of capital A and small a equal to 2pq. Hence, P square plus 2pq plus Q square equal to 1. Binomial expansion of P plus Q whole square. Here it is given. See, it is the allele like this. Here P allele is found, here Q is found, we can say Q found, Q and 2pq also found in this. Okay, here total number of allele equal to 40, capital A 26, small a 14. Frequency we can say of capital A is 0.65, frequency of small a is 0.35, total allele frequency equal to 1, number of beetle 20, genotype this one, and we can say frequency genotype is 0.5, frequency of genotype capital and small is 0.3, frequency of genotype capital small a equal to 0.2. Change in frequency of allele in a population disturbs the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. This change is due to evolution. Then Factor affecting Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium: gene migration, gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, gene recombination, natural selection. First of all, gene migration. It is gene flow from one population to another. Here, gene frequency change in both populations. Gene flow occur if migration happens multiple times. Here you can see diagram is there. Population A, selection pressure against recessive phenotype has created a homozygous population, capital N, small h. Here population B is there. Selection pressure against dominant phenotype has created homozygous population, small h, where offspring of immigrated bird has genotype H and H. As you can see, this bird comes to this one, this area. Okay, migrated. This bird goes to this area. So their genotype is changed, and though it affects the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Second, gene flow by chance causing change in frequency. Sometimes change in frequency is so different in the new sample of population that it becomes a different species. The original drifted population becomes a founder, and the effect is called founder's effect. Here you can see founder's effect. It is a growth of some insects like green and yellow beetles are there. The one green beetle comes out and it goes to a particular island where only particular green beetles are found. That is called founder's effect. This also affects the Hardy-Weinberg principle. Third is mutation. It results in the formation of new phenotypes. Over few generations, this leads to speciation. Mutation means, like you can say, incoming UV protons which can break down the particular this DNA structure, and it results some other chemicals are attached here, and mutation created by variation. Next, fourth, genetic recombination. It is the reshuffling of gene combinations during crossing over resulting in gene variation. Homologous chromosomes aligned like this, chromosome crossing over, and recombinant chromosomes are produced. Fifth one, natural selection. Three types of natural selections are there: stabilizing selection, directional selection, and disruptive selection. First of all, stabilizing selection. Here, more individuals acquire mean character value and variations is reduced. Here you can see number of individuals with phenotypes favored by natural selection, medium-sized individuals are favored, and it goes to peak gets higher and narrower. Then directional selection. Here individuals of the one extreme value other than the mean character value are more favored, where you can see peak shifted in the only one direction. And the third one, disruptive selection. Here individuals of both extremes, peripheral character value at both ends of the distribution curve and more favored, where you can see this curve becomes two peak formed. Here diagram is there: stabilizing selection, directional selection, and disruptive selection. Example for color of the red. Here you can see frequency of individuals, original population like this, and coming to stabilizing selection, evolved population you can see this one. Then directional selection, varieties are came like this, directions are there, for color you can see. Disruptive, then two four colors are present as you can see. Next, sixth one, brief account of the evolution. Let's see the NCERT what it says here. Hardy-Weinberg principle states using algebraic equations. This principle says that allele frequency in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation. The gene pool. Gene pool means a gene pool is a collection of different genes, both expressed and not expressed, present in a population of a particular species. The gene pool remains a constant. This is called genetic equilibrium, and sum total of all the allelic frequencies is 1. Then here it says, same example taken, p square plus 2pq plus q square equal to 1, and binomial expansion of the p plus q whole square. 5 factors are known to affect a Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. These are gene migration or gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, and natural selection. Where the gene flow, also called gene migration or allele flow, refers to the transfer of genetic material from one population to another. This can occur through the interbreeding or the vertical transfer of genetic material from the parents to offspring. Genetic drift means also known as random genetic drift, allelic drift, or the Wright effect. Refers to the change in the frequency of an existing gene variant in a population due to random chances. It can lead to loss of genetic traits or the widespread distribution of allele without regard to the survival or reproductive value. This is called genetic drift. Mutation we all know, gene recombination we all know, natural selection we know. Then founder effect. We all know that the change in allele frequency is so different in the new sample of population that they become a different species, and the original drifted population becomes founder, and the effect is called founder effect. Then natural selection is the process in which heritable variations enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and leave greater number of progeny. Natural selection can lead to stabilization, directional changes, or disruption. Then brief account of evolution. Let's see the PDF here. The geological time scale includes 4 eras, that are Proterozoic, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic. First of all, Proterozoic era, that is 2500 to 541 million years ago. MYA means million years ago. First cellular life form of life appeared 2000 million years ago. Some of the cells had the ability to release oxygen as the light reaction in photosynthesis. Single-celled organisms become multicellular organisms during this era. Then Paleozoic era, 542 to 52 million years ago. It is 6th period: Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, and Permian. 500 million years ago, invertebrates were formed. 450 million years ago, first land organism, plants are appeared. Then 400 million years ago, arthropods invaded the land. Arthropods. 350 million years ago, jawless fishes were evolved. Jawless fishes. See the diagram. Then lobophians. Lobophians, that are stout and strong finned fishes, could move on land and go back to water. They evolved to first amphibians, ancestors of modern day frog and salamander. Here you can see lobe-finned fish and yearly amphibians. See the similarities. Then see the diagram, fossils of coelacanth, a lobe-finned fish, and from the fossil we can say that lobefins are the first amphibians that can live in land and as well as water. Then in 325 million years ago, lobefins or coelacanth is still very much alive. In 1938, lobefin called coelacanth fish was caught in South Africa, which was thought to be extinct. And the diagram you can see. Then Paleozoic era. Sorry, same points are given, but diagram is different. See, lobe-finned fish, yearly amphibian, and yearly amphibians becomes different one. Prehistoric amphibian, frogs and salamander, modern historic amphibians. Then 320 million years ago, seaweeds and few plants were existed. Amphibians evolved to reptiles. They lay thick-celled egg, do not dry up in the sun. That's why they lay thick-celled egg. Giant fawns, pteridophytes were present, but they all failed to form coal deposits slowly. Then Mesozoic era, 250 to 66 million years ago. Age of reptiles and gymnosperms. It is three periods: Triassic 230 million years ago, Jurassic 208 million years ago, and Cretaceous 144 million years ago. First of all, 200 million years ago, some of the land reptiles went baked into water to evolve into fish-like reptiles. Example, Ichthyosaurus. See the diagram. Some land reptiles went back into water to evolve into fish-like reptiles. Then the land reptiles were dinosaurs. Here example, Tyrannosaurus rex, Triceratops, Stegosaurus and Brachiosaurus. It is a diagram of Tyrannosaurus rex or T-rex. Then see the diagram, Triceratops, then Stegosaurus and Brachiosaurus. Here, T-rex was the largest dinosaur, 20 feet in height, used fearsome dagger-like teeth. Toothed birds were emerged. Then, Conozoic era, 66 to 0 million years ago. Age of mammals and angiosperms. It has two periods: Tertiary, 66 million years ago, and Quaternary, 2 million years ago to age of man. First of all, 65 million years ago, dinosaurs suddenly disappeared. Some says climatic change killed them, some says most of them evolved into birds. Then, first mammals were cirro-like. Their fossils are small sized. After the dinosaurs, these are found, cirro-like mammals. They are small in size. In South America, there were mammals resembling horse, hippopotamus, bears, rabbits, etc. Due to continental drift, when South America joined North America, these animals were overridden by North American fauna. Then, due to continental drift, Australian marsupial survived because of lack of competition from any other mammals. Here you can see, in Permian 250 million years ago, here Pangea is there mentioned. Here, Triassic 200 million years ago, and Pangea divided into two parts: Laurasia and Gondwana land. Jurassic 150 million years ago, 100 million years ago, Cretaceous 50 million years ago, where Eurasia, Africa, Australia, South America, North America present, and now Ice Age is 1 lakh years ago. Brief account of evolution. Origin and evolution of man. Let's see what NCERT says. Same points are given. About 2000 million years ago, the first cellular form of life appeared on the earth, and here the some given points, examples are given: Paleozoic era, Mesozoic era, Conozoic era. And by the time of 500 million years ago, invertebrates were formed and active. Jawless fish probably evolved around 350 million years ago. Seaweeds and few plants existed probably around 320 million years ago. And fish with stout and strong fin could have moved on land and go back to water. This was about 50 million years ago. 1938, fish caught in South Africa happened to be the coelacanth, which was thought to be extinct. These animals called lobe fins evolved into the first amphibians that lived on both land and water. Here you can see early reptiles, Carboniferous, Permian area, and mostly extincted, and some are present, you can see. Then Land reptiles went back into water to evolve into fish-like reptiles probably 200 million years ago. Example, ichthyosaurus. We already seen diagram in that PDF. Then dinosaurs, the biggest of them, that is Tyrannosaurus rex, was about 20 feet in height and had huge fearsome dagger-like teeth. About 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs suddenly disappeared from the earth. We do not know the true reason. Some says climatic change, some says they evolved into birds. Then here the first mammal were like ceros. Their fossils are small sized. Mammals are viviparous and protected their unborn young inside the mother's body. Mammals are more intelligent in sensing and avoiding danger at least. When reptiles came down, mammals took over the earth. They were in South America mammals resembling horse, hippopotamus, bear, rabbit, etc. due to continental drift. That is, it is a theory originating in the early 20th century. The earth continents move and drift relative to each other over geologic time. When South America joined North America, these animals were overridden by North American fauna. Due to same continental drift, pouched mammals of Australia survived because of lack of competition from any other mammals. And then origin of and evolution of man. Let's see what the PDF says. First of all, Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus. 15 million years ago. These are found hairy, walk like gorilla and chimpanzees. Dryopithecus is more ape-like, as you can see, and Ramapithecus is more man-like. Then 3 to 4 million years ago, there were man-like primates in the Eastern Africa. They had height up to 4 feet and walk up straight. This belief is based on fossils of the man-like bones found in Ethiopia and Tanzania. Australopithecus 2 million years ago lived in East African grass islands, hunted with stone weapons and ate fruit. Homo habilis 2 million years ago, first human-like being, hominid, brain capacity 650 to 800 cc, cc means cranium capacity, did not eat meat, Homo habilis. Then Homo erectus 1.5 million years ago, brain capacity 900 cc, ate meat, Homo erectus. Then Homo neanderthalensis or Neanderthal man 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago, brain capacity 1400 cc, lived in East and Central Asia, used to hide to protect their body, buried their dead, sorry. Then Homo sapiens or modern man, that is 75,000 to 10,000 years ago, Ice Age. Prehistoric cave are developed about 18,000 years ago, agriculture and human settlement 10,000 years ago. It is the sequence of human evolution. First of all, Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, Homo sapiens. This is the origin and evolution of man, hominidae family. See the diagrams. Then origin and evolution of man. A comparison of the skull of adult modern human being, baby chimpanzees and adult chimpanzees. This one. The skull of baby chimpanzee is more like adult human. As you can see, more like adult human than adult chimpanzee skull. Let's see the PDF. Sorry, NCERT. Same points are given. What are we already seen? 15 minutes ago, primates called Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus were existing. They were hairy, walk like gorilla, chimpanzees. Ramapithecus was more man-like, while Dryopithecus was more ape-like. We already seen in the diagram. Then, few fossils of man-like bones have been discovered in Ethiopia and Tanzania. This revealed the hominid features leading to the belief of about 3 to 4 million years ago, man-like primates walked in the eastern Africa. They were probably not taller than 4 feet, but walked upright or up straight. 2 million years ago, Australopithecines probably lived in the East African grasslands. Evidences showed that they hunted with the stone weapons, but they ate fruit. Then again in some different area, some more bones are found, and first human-like being, the hominid, was called Homo habilis. Brain capacity 650 to 800 cc. Cc means cranium capacity, and they probably did not eat meat. Fossils discovered in the Java in 1891 revealed the next stage, that is Homo erectus, about 1.5 million years ago. Homo erectus has a large brain around 900 cc. They probably ate meat. The Neanderthal men with a brain size of 1400 cc lived in the Near East and Central Asia between 1 lakh to 40,000 years back. They used hide to protect their body and buried their dead. Homo sapiens arose in Africa and moved across continent and developed into distinct races. During Ice Age between 75,000 to 10,000 years ago, modern Homo sapiens arose. Prehistoric cave art developed about 18,000 years ago. One such cave painting by prehistoric human can be seen at Vimbetica rock shelter in Raisin district of the Madhya Pradesh. Agriculture came around 10,000 years back and human settlement started. And here is the summary. And with this chapter is completed. So we already covered the NCERT line by line as well as this PDF. I hope the diagram of the PDF will be more helpful to easily understand this chapter. And thank you all for watching this video. And do like this video. Do not forget to comment. And new viewers, please subscribe my channel. And if you found any doubt, simply my number is in the description. You can simply ask. Thank you. Jai Jagannath.